Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back with another Fortnite video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about why wins don't matter in Fortnite. Don't get me wrong, wins are really important in Fortnite, but they don't mean everything. I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that. And before we get to the video, at 30,000 subscribers, I will be doing a V-Buck giveaway. If you guys want to win some free V-Bucks, all you have to do is drop a like in this video, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, turn on my notifications, and comment down below either your Xbox gamer tag, PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. The winners will be chosen on the video I hit 30,000 subscribers, so make sure you guys are entered into that giveaway. And alright guys, let's get right to the video. Alright, to start off, guys, this is a 16 kill game. This is the game I got last night. I dropped 16 kills in this game. My teammate ended up dying early, so I ended up clutching out this game. I decided, you know what, I still gotta get some kills. I still gotta beast on these fools, and I did. Got 16 kills and won the game. Not gonna lie, a lot of these players in the game weren't the best, the best of the best players, but either way, I still dropped 16 kills. And actually, the game before, I dropped another 16 kill game. I was playing, I thought I was in duos actually, and I was actually in a squad game, but eventually we found out we were in squads, and I ended up dropping 16 kills in that game as well. I really want to drop another 20 bomb. It's been a little bit, but for now, a 16 kill, it's still a really solid kill game, and this is a really good gameplay for that. Alright, so I'm going to be talking about why wins don't necessarily matter to a whole lot in Fortnite, and give you guys a list of reasons on why I say that. Here, I'm going to bring up on screen my stats so you guys can see kind of where my stats are. It's not every single stat in the game, but it is a good amount of stats, so you can kind of see exactly what kind of stats I have and maybe how you stack up against these stats. So here, I have 4,000 matches played, I have 864 wins, a 21 win percentage, 15,000 kills, and a 4.88 KD. These are my stats as of the time I'm making this video. And I want to give you guys a list of reasons on why wins in my stats are probably the most least important thing of all of my stats. Wins, they don't mean anything, and I'm here to say that. I'm here to prove it as well. Alright, so let's get right to it. Okay, so the first reason why wins don't matter in Fortnite is because literally it's just wins. It doesn't account for anything else. If you camp the entire game, if you play Fortnite like how Epic wants you to play Fortnite, for those of you guys that have seen that video, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're playing Fortnite how Epic wants you to play Fortnite, versus if you're playing for high kill games every single game, you're gonna have a lot different wins. People who play, how Epic wants you to play are gonna have a lot more wins, because it's gonna be really easy for them to win, and they're not gonna be going for those high kill games. Because when you go for those high kill games, it's not as easy to win. Because if you're running into a lot of players every single game, if you're going Tilted Towers, if you're going Retail Row, Pleasant Park, Pleasant Park's not too bad from time to time, but if you're going to like those high kill areas, a lot of times you're gonna be running into a lot of players, and if you run into a lot of players, there's a pretty good chance eventually you're gonna run into some really sweaty players, and when you run into those sweaty players, you're gonna die a fair amount of time, because even myself, I can't beat everybody, right? I lose gunfights. Sometimes I lose gunfights that are against good players, and sometimes I lose gunfights against players who are complete dog trash, like absolutely trash. Like they walk in and clap my cheeks, and I'm just like, how did that happen? How did that happen? They're so bad. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys can relate to that. You guys just, I know it's just not me, but I be dying. Most of the time, most of my deaths are from players who are aren't even good. They aren't even good at Fortnite. They're garbage. But they're just spraying me, and they're just like getting all these, like, I'm just shooting right at them, hitting no shots, and then they get like 2 headshots with the scar, and I lose my entire health, or I get like just destroyed by the double barrel shotgun. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been getting absolutely annihilated by the double barrel shotgun. It's one of those guns where I would run up on a guy with a pump or attack, or even a heavy. Like, I get one solid shot on them for like 100 damage, and then they would just turn around and just bloop bloop and just like knock me all the way down to like 2 health, or not even that, just completely kill me in just 2 shots, just completely destroy me. And that gun is just so inconsistent. I don't know if it's just me, but I just get, like, every time I run into a guy with a double barrel, I honestly get kind of nervous, because I know they can just destroy me in 2 bullets, and there's nothing I can do about it. But back to my point, what I was saying, wins, they don't account for it. If you can get a 16 kill win, or you can get a 2 kill win, either way, a win is a win. So that's why, it doesn't account for kills in matches or how you play. It's basically, if you win the game, you get credit for the win. It could be in solos, duos, or squads. And personally, a lot of players who aren't as good as the game, it's a lot easier for them to win in squads than it is in solos, because they have teammates to rely on, they have other players, and it's just a little bit easier to win in squads, because you don't really have to be all that, you don't have to be doing all the work than if you were to play duos, which can be a little bit harder because you have to put in, there's only 2 players, so if your teammate goes down, you have to clutch up 1v2. It can be pretty difficult, but in squads, a lot of the times when someone dies, you're not really in too bad of a spot because you still have 2 other players to get your back. So running 3-man in squads really isn't too bad, but if you're playing duos and your teammate dies, you have to 1v2 the whole game. That can be pretty difficult for someone who isn't as skilled of a player. It can be a little bit more difficult for them to get wins that way. So wins, they don't account for the amount of kills you get for that win. Another point why wins don't even matter is because it's Season 5. I'm not saying because I think Season 5 trash, because it is trash. But what I mean Season 5 is the game's been out for a full year. The game's been out for a long time. It's the most popular game out there. So a lot of the time there is a lot of players with a lot of wins, like 400, 500, 600 wins, who just been playing since the beginning, and they're really not that good of a players. They have like 10,000 matches played and like 500 wins, so it's not the best of stats. So of course, back in Season 2 and back in Season 3, when the game was still relatively new and it's still a pretty new game, a lot of players, they were judging the skill of a player based off of wins, because there wasn't as many people having a ton of wins. So if people were getting a ton of wins back in Season 2 or Season 3, this player was going absolute ham in lobbies, and they were most likely some of the better players. But fast forward, a couple months later, Season 5 comes. It doesn't matter as much because people have been playing the game for a lot more time, so they have a lot more matches played. And it doesn't mean that they're winning more on a consistent basis. It's just that means they've won a lot of games overall. A good analogy for this would be in Call of Duty, because back when the game first drops, or maybe just a month into the game, if you see a high level, decked out prestige, even master prestige, you're like, dang, this guy has to be good because this guy got it very, very quickly. But of course, when the game has been out for maybe a year or longer, a lot of the times people, when they see those max or higher levels, a lot of times it doesn't mean everything because the game's been out for a long time. And that's the same way for Fortnite. If you got a lot of wins back in the earlier stages of Fortnite, it typically meant you were one of the top players back then. But nowadays in Season 5, when the game's been out for a full year, wins, they don't mean everything anymore, because the game's been out for so long and a lot of players just have a lot of matches played, and it doesn't mean that they're winning very consistently. They're just winning, one out of every 30 games, which isn't that good. You want to always try to win as many games as possible, or at least try to go for a lot of kills. And my third reason for why I think wins don't matter in Fortnite is because there's other stats in the game that better represent someone's skill level, and that's usually what I look at. If I want to look and see how good a player is and just kind of get a good idea of how they play, I don't really look at wins. I would take a quick glance at it just to see how many games they've won, but that's not the main thing I focus on. Usually when I just look up someone's stats and want to see their skill level, typically I look at the KD of a player, and KD, of course, it can be manipulated if you just camp every single game, and if you can win a lot of games by camping, but mainly KD is a pretty good indicator of the skill level of a player. If someone has a 2 KD, I would consider them, I would say pretty average player, nothing too crazy. 3 KD, I would consider above average. 4 KD, I would consider a very, very good player at the game. And 5 and above, I would consider some of the top players in Fortnite have above a 5 KD. People like Ninja are absolutely insane, have 11 KD, something crazy like that. But anybody above a 5 KD is pretty impressive. I haven't ran into too many people with over 5 KD. I've seen a few people with over 4. From what I've seen, usually the average KD, I would say, is in between, I would say a 1.5, 1.6, and a 2.2. Somewhere in that range is probably about the average KD that I see from players. And of course, above that, if you're rocking a high 2 KD, I would consider you a little bit, above average player. Of course, 3 KD, even higher. 4 KD, a really good player. And 5 KD, some of the top players. If you can have over a 6 KD though, for an average KD, you're either camping your ass off every single game, or you're actually a really good player. On the season, I do have above a 6 KD, but that isn't my average KD. For my average KD, I really want to try to push myself and try to get above a 5 KD. That would be really, really cool. Right now, like I said, I am at a 4.88 KD, so I'm not too far off. Maybe I would say a week of really, really good games, and I could get there for sure. And for those of you guys, to get better at Fortnite, it probably isn't the best thing for your stats, but honestly, hands down, the best thing you can do to get better at Fortnite is just go tilted towers every single game. Your KD and your stats probably going to take a hurting from it, but I guarantee in the long run, you're going to get a lot better at the game. And that's really important. That's why I don't think wins are that important. You should really try to focus on getting better at the game and trying things that you're maybe not as good at, even if it costs you some games, just so you can get better at the game. And that's what I would highly recommend when you want to improve and how to get better at Fortnite. And that's gonna wrap up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something. If you did, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on those notifications, and alright guys, I will see you in the next video.